Hi, it's Maggie Reigh here again, author of 9 Ways to Bring Out the Best in You and Your Child, and I'm here with the first question in that 5-step assessment that can help you to bring peace and harmony to your family, some fun, and to end some of the conflict. And the first question is, if you had $100 worth of energy coming into your head every day, how much of it do you spend on conflict? Now, the sad thing here is that we parents often actually create conflict through the way that we attempt to resolve it, to stop it. You know, there was a study done some time ago, and it was about this family where the children were just fighting all the time. That was the mother's complaint. And so they hid a video camera in the children's room. And the children are playing away, and now they hear Mom coming up the stairs. And one of them says, here she comes, hey, give me that, you give that back. And the next thing you know, they're in this tussle back and forth, and they're fighting. And of course, Mom comes into the room and flings open the door and says, what is the matter with you two? How many times do I have to tell you? Why can't you stop fighting? And she goes into this long spiel of intense energy that she gives to these children. And they're just sitting there watching her. Now, the interesting thing about this is that children will get our attention one way or the other. And if they get that intense attention when they act out, we are subconsciously teaching them to act out. Because what we all want is connection. And often that's where the greatest connection is when the children are acting out. And we as parents have been trained to give that attention. You know, one of the parents in the class that I was working with said one week, you know, I realized suddenly why none of that other parenting stuff was working with my son Jeremy. She says, I thought it was because correcting was more important than connecting. You could have heard a pin drop in the room, because suddenly we all realized that that's exactly what we were doing. We were giving all of our attention to correcting. So the first of the 5-step assessment is to say, how much attention am I giving to conflict? And is it that big burst that's going out there? And if that's where I'm giving most of my attention, my children could be doing this just to get my attention. So, very first thing is, stop giving those big bursts of attention and that intense eye contact with your children when they are acting out. If your children are acting out in conflict and you think that something's wrong or somebody might get hurt, by all means go in there and say, stop! I'm afraid somebody's going to be hurt here. I think we need to separate. However, that's not usually what we do. We usually as parents go in and say, what is going on here? Who started this? And they argue about who started it, and we're arguing and our heads going round and round and round and round, trying to figure out who started it. We give all this attention to it, and it goes on forever. And it just seems to go running right into the next conflict sometimes, doesn't it? So, if you think your children are in danger, then by all means, stop it, send them to separate places to cool down, talk about it later if necessary, but don't try to figure out whose fault it is and who needs to be punished for whatever's happening, because that is just going to create more conflict. The child who is punished is likely to then be plotting against the other child and possibly against you too. There are other ways to deal with this kind of conflict, and you can help your children to learn to speak their piece and listen to the other person speak their piece, and then stay solution oriented, because that's definitely part of conflict, but not in the heat of the moment. So when the children have calmed down, then you can bring them together with you, you can listen to one another, and then stay solution oriented. And if you want more information on exactly how to do that, to teach your children to problem solve and stay solution oriented. You will find it in the 9 ways to bring out the best in you and your child, book and workbook. Just think of what a gift you will give to your children if you actually teach them how to resolve conflicts effectively in their life. And just think what a gift it will be to you when you start to shift your attention away from the conflict, stop correcting, and make connecting more important. Just work with that this week. Just notice how much attention you're giving to conflict and start to take that attention away and start to focus on connecting. Until next time.